Thank you very much, Reverend Palmer. Let me just remind our all. Let me. So every time there's a new speaker, we have to sanitize. And it's at my feet, the bucket with the necessary equipment. Thank you very much, Reverend Palmer, for that encouraging message, but also asking certain questions. And may we take it with us. Thank you so much for that encouraging words. May I take this opportunity, Honorable Minister, that I introduce the panel so that the people know who our principals are and who's present. Our Deputy Minister, of course, Minister Mathale, Deputy Minister of Police. Thank you, Minister. You're not glad he's here. The Minister promised last year that he'll be back, and he's here, man of his word. Thank you. Then we also have the honor of having the Deputy Minister of Rural Development and Land Reform, Minister Skwacha. Also no stranger to the Western Cape. Then we have Deputy National Commissioner, or let me rather say, the head of the DPCI, General Labia, in our presence as well. General. Then we have MPL, Mr. Koma. I'm just afraid I'm going to mispronunciate your first name, sir. Welcome also. He's a member of our provincial legislature and also the shadow minister, if I'm correct. Then also with us in front, the acting divisional commissioner for visible policing, General Pinar. Just next to General Pinar is the local CPF chairperson, Mr. Manar. Then also acting divisional commissioner detection, General Motsepe, is present. The head of the civilian secretariat of police, Mr. Ntuli, is also here. Then also the Speaker of the local municipality or council, Mr. Pretorius, he will also be the next speaker on our program. Then we do also have I hope I've covered everybody from our national head office. The acting PC of the Western Cape, General Patikile. Then the cluster commander of the Eden cluster is General Reddy, of which this policing precinct is part of. Let me just correct one thing, General, forgive me for that. Also, the General Monkey is the Deputy Provincial Commissioner Policing. Then may I just take this opportunity, there's a long list, not to take too much time, to welcome all the dignitaries, the other State Department, heads of departments, the councillors that's present in the room. Thank you for being here, and most importantly, our community. This is only an introduction, it's not the official opening or welcoming. May I call now on Mr. Pretorius, Councillor Pretorius from the George Municipality Speaker, which will do the official welcoming.
Thank you, Program Director. With your permission, I'm going to remove my mask. I can't have my glasses and my mask on together while I'm speaking. My apologies for that. I actually thought I was going to do the welcome, but Malcolm has done me a big favor. Thank you for that. Ladies and gentlemen, don't we have the most beautiful anthem in the world? I get goosebumps. I have goosebumps now. We must sing it more. We must listen to it much, much more. Good morning to one and all of you. Greetings. I'm really delighted to be here at this Stakeholder Engagement. And I wish to extend warm welcome wishes to all of you present here today. Ministers, I must begin this with a little story about the two farmers, neighboring farmers, and there are many people in the farming community here. The one was a very, very successful farmer. The other was not successful, although they had the same amount of cows. They were both dairy farmers. They drove the same bakkies. The one's land and fodder and food for the cattle was top class. The other one struggled. They had the same rainfall every year. And they were not very good friends either. And one day, the one who it is not going well with actually he decided to put his pride somewhere else. And he went to his neighbor and he said, "Tell me, what's the secret of your success?" And the farmer who it is going well with took out a box of matches from his pocket and he gave him the box of matches. And the one said, "But why are you doing this? Are you insulting me? Why are you giving me a box of matches when I ask you a very sincere question?" He said, "No, I'll explain." He said, "Every time a cow leaves the dairy, you must put this box of matches against the cow's ear." He said, "But I don't understand it." He says, "You must be there. Jy moet daar wees." And that is what we politicians have to do. We must be there. Or those of us who claim to be politicians. We must be there. Ons moet daar wees. And that's the reason why I'm so extremely delighted that you are here today. You are there being Uniondale today. I really want to thank you for that. For the sacrifice. I know what it's like. The time and the effort that you sacrifice. And your poor staff. I also used to be one of ministerial staff in a previous life. So I know what they're going through as well. But I thank you from the depth of my heart that you are here today. Malcolm, if I may steal some of your thunder, the guests of honor here today are the people in the audience. And I want to thank you for turning up and for using the opportunity to share and exchange ideas with our leaders. That is what democracy is about. And that is why, as far as I'm concerned, the main reason why the ministers and their entourages are here. Allow me the opportunity to also extend a special word of welcome to our South African police services. And you must extend this welcome through the whole division, Police General. I don't think enough gratitude goes out to those of you who are serving in uniform, or plainclothes for that matter. Not nearly enough. And we need to create a culture where there is more and growing respect for the men and women in uniform. We must. We don't have a choice. I wish to apologize for the mayor of the Garden Route District Municipality, as well as the George Mayor, Garden Route District Municipality as Mayor Memory Jansen and George Alderman Leon van Wyk, who can't be here with us today. George, although Uniondale is part of the town of George, this is very much a rural area. I don't have to remind you. I actually represent a ward that is largely rural. Not too far from here is Herald and Wabenskraal, and then on the other side of the mountain, Geelitboom and down to Hooggekraal. And all too often, ministers, I regret I have to tell you, all too often, it comes to my mind that when I think about rural people, it comes to mind that they are the forgotten people. And we cannot have forgotten people in South Africa. We cannot. And that's more reason why it is a privilege for me to welcome you both and to listen to what you have to share with each and everyone with us. Once again, a sincere welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Pretorius, the Speaker of the George Municipality. I'm now going to call on the Acting Divisional Commissioner of Policing, General Pinar, to just explain and give an input on the purpose of this gathering. General.
Thank you, Program Director. And like the previous speaker, I also can't speak without misting up my glasses, and then I can't read, so please bear with me. Deputy Minister Mathale, Deputy Minister Skwatsha, General Lebia, PC of the Western Cape, Acting PC General Patekile, my colleagues from the SAPS Head Office and the province, the Councillor of George Municipality, Mr. Pretorius, our Provincial MPL, the community leaders present, Chairperson of the CPF of Uniondale, to all of you ladies and gentlemen, I am here this morning to speak to the purpose of this event. Ek gaan probeer om in Afrikaans ook te praat, maar ek gaan by voorbaat verskoning vra dat my Afrikaans nie noodwendig so vlot is soos my Engels nie. As a program of government, one of the programs of government is to take our services to the people in every community. Ons kan nie net in Pretoria en in Kaapstad met mense praat nie, ons moet reg oor Suid-Afrika met mense praat. Soos in Uniondale kom hoor wat is die dinge wat die mense in hierdie gemeenskap pla en hoe kan ons dienste verbeter? En spesifiek van die polisie se kant af, lewer ons aan julle die diens wat julle van julle polisiediens verwag. And the Deputy Minister was here in September of 2019 and the community spoke to him about those issues in terms of the policing of their community that bothered them. And there were concerns raised, there were specific complaints, and one of the reasons why we're here today is to allow us to give feedback on those specific issues that were raised. Ons het 'n nasionale ontwikkelingsplan en een van die uitkomste van daardie plan is dat ons gemeenskappe veilig moet wees en veilig moet voel. And one of the things we want to ask you as a community of Uniondale, voel julle veilig? Voel julle dat die polisie in Uniondale help om julle veiliger te maak? Is daar dinge wat julle onveilig laat voel? En hoe kan ons help om daardie spesifieke sorge van julle aan te spreek? So we are essentially here to follow up on the 2019 engagement that took place, but also in generally to engage with this community on the safety of this community. As 'n landelike gemeenskap, ons is besig om die landelike beveiligingsstrategie, die Rural Safety Strategy, uit te rol as die polisiediens, but we're also working closely with other departments in that respect. Mr. Ntuli from the Civilian Secretariat, I didn't recognize him when I started, but he's one of my colleagues that we work closely together with, also with Minister Skwatsha's department, in trying to address those things that make rural communities feel unsafe and that might cause conflict in rural areas. So that is another specific reason why we are here, om te hoor wat die dinge is in 'n landelike gemeenskap, wat ons van die polisiediens en van ander departemente af moet afspreek, sodat die gemeenskap veiliger kan voel. So, ladies and gentlemen, dames en here, that is essentially why we are here this morning. I have not even tried to answer the Reverend's question this morning. Why were we here? I think he was asking a much deeper question. But in terms of this team from the national government and the provincial government, that is the reason why we're here. Thank you very much, Program Director.
Thank you, General, for the short introduction or purpose of the meeting. Please pardon me. May I also acknowledge the presence of General Matonzi. I looked in his eyes and I did not introduce him. I saw the General next to him. My humble apologies from National Head Office. And I also acknowledge the presence of the Cluster Commander of the Gamaskop, which is a neighboring cluster of Eden, Brigadier Sichana. The Reverend talked about roeping, julle roeping, nee, as ek met die mense hier kan praat. Your calling. And Councillor Pretorius talked about forgotten people, and you must be there where the people are. And now the General has explained exactly why we're here, stemming from the meeting, the previous engagement. So let me call this time on a local person who's the chairperson of the CPF, Mr. Minnar, to deliver his message of support. As ek meneer Minnar na vore kan roep, om net sy boodskap te bring aan ons gemeenskap en aan ons principles. We have to do this.
Partykeer is dit goed om kort te wees, maar nie altyd nie. Good morning, Deputy Minister Mathale, Deputy Minister Squatcha. There's a lot of generals, and I don't think that I will be able to mention all of you, but let me observe protocol, even with directors and our guest, our extinguished guest today. I'm Mushabel Minnar, the chairperson of the newly elected CPF since September 2020. General, Deputy Minister, the CPF's expectations and focus for the next 5 years will be, and that's according to the Constitution of the CPF, paragraph 7.1.1.5, talked about transparency from the police side to the community. We will also try to establish a good relationship and partnership between local subs, its members, and the community. With local subs in the community, we'll try to identify issues of crime and how to address it. We will try to identify drug outlets and illegal liquor outlets, because really that's a big problem. Draft a plan with legal inputs and implement where possible. We will act on behalf of the community and subs to create a strong and trustworthy relationship between them. That's now the community and subs. But I think our focus will be on trust, because we need to get the community so far to trust subs. But we need to get subs so far so that they can show the community, not in words, but in action, that the community can trust them. Deputy Minister, last but not least, our community's plea to you is to see to that subs Uniondale's infrastructure and or a new building to be addressed as soon as possible. If you want to go to Colonel Stander's office, you have to go through Captain Nonsasa's office. There's a photocopy machine also in Captain Nonsasa's office, meaning that in Captain Nonsasa's office there's no privacy and there's no professionalism. Deputy Minister, can you please look into this as a matter of urgency? The shortage of personnel is also a big challenge because it hampers service delivery and professionalism in a very big way in Uniondale and Haarlem. Thank you, Deputy Minister. We pray that the concerns and requests of this community will be taken to heart. Colonel Stander, I think within the next week or two, we need to have a post-Deputy Minister's meeting with all the stakeholders. so that we can discuss what's going to be discussed today, concerns that are coming out, issues that will be coming out, so that we can check if we can draft a plan and how are we going to address it and take Uniondale further. Because really we need to pick up Uniondale, not only from sub-side, but from the community side also. And the last thing, community members, community leaders, if we are going to invite you, please, please, make some effort to attend those meetings. I think it's high time that we get ourselves on the wagon and not throw stones to the wagon. So please, guys, let's make that effort and try to address whatever issues is there. Deputy Minister, thank you very much. Thank you very much, guys.
Mr. Minnar, thank you so much for your input as well from the CPF side, and reminding me to be short is not always a disadvantage. Thank you for being brief. Ladies and gentlemen, dames en heren, we're going to make ready for a presentation by General Reddy, the Cluster Commander of Eden, just on the feedback presented by the Cluster Commander. Can we put our hands together and welcome General Reddy to the podium?
Thank you, Program Director, Honorable Deputy Ministers, the distinguished guests that we have from Head Office, Province, and the members of the community who are here. Let me also observe protocol so that I can spend more time on the presentation and give you an opportunity to raise questions and have more time with the access to the deputy ministers. But thank you for this opportunity, and I also want to request that I remove the mask so that I can speak because of the glasses fogging up. I think all of us with glasses have a similar problem, Deputy Minister. Thank you. As was mentioned already on the purpose of today's event, during 2019, the Deputy Minister of Police visited this area and a huge imbizo was held under the tent in the sports ground. There were, I think, in excess, Deputy Minister, of 500 people at that event. A number of issues were raised with the Deputy Minister, various complaints, etc. And an appeal was made that it must be given attention. And when the Deputy Minister addressed the community, including the leadership and the ordinary citizens, he made a promise that he will be back to give feedback. He gave taskings to the national office, he gave taskings to the provincial commissioner, he gave taskings to the cluster and to the local station. And we had to then deal with that and prepare for his return. Last year, 2020, the Deputy Minister gave us a date when he is coming through. We put together all the plans, but unfortunately, as a result of COVID and the lockdown levels that we were on at that time, that engagement could not take place. But the Deputy Minister indicated that he is going to prioritize Uniondale early in the new year. We are now on level 1 of lockdown, where we still have to observe very strictly the wearing of the mask, the sanitizing, etc., and the restrictions that go with events of this nature, where when we host an event of this nature, only 100 people can be in this hall at any given time. And respecting that, we then made an arrangement that from the side of the police we'll take 9 seats, and the office of the Deputy Minister through his staff then took the balance of 91. And this is not an open invitation for people that can just walk off from the street, except if there's space available. Those of you who are here were invited specifically. There were 22 formal complaints lodged during the previous engagement. Now, within the organization SAPS, we have a certain policy and procedure to follow when formal complaints are lodged against anyone at any police station. The provincial commissioner has brought his own team down, and they will be at the back of this hall. There's a complaints desk. So the issues that are raised during the session has to be reported to the complaints desk at the back so that the formal process of investigation can then take place. So my appeal to you is that we go through that. I'm going to start off with a very brief overview of Uniondale and the Eden cluster, and then I'm going to do the feedback on those 22 complaints that were formally lodged. The Uniondale police station belongs to the Eden cluster, which is in the Garden Route district. The Garden Route district comprises of 7 local municipalities. And as was said by Mr. Pretorius, the Uniondale police station resides under the George municipality. We have 2 clusters, policing clusters. I'm the commander of the Eden cluster, and we have Brigadier Satiana that we introduced earlier, who is the commander of the Gamaskop cluster. The SAPS is currently reviewing its structures, and there's a possibility within a short space of time that the SAPS structure will be known as the Garden Route District Police. So that's by way of introduction. In terms of the demographics of the Uniondale area, the Stats SA census, last census reports that there's a population of 16,913 residents in this area with a 3,134 square kilometer jurisdiction. Unemployment rate currently is at 16%. Informal population is 5%, and percentage of tarred roads is only 10% because it's a deep rural area. There are various shops, and the licensed liquor premises are 7. There are second-hand dealers, 13 schools, and registered learners are 2,867, and there are 192 farms in this police precinct. We have a very effective rural safety strategy that is a national strategy that comes from General Matonzi's office. We have a rural safety coordinator appointed who meets with the leadership and the relevant role players on a regular basis in order to find ways on how to prevent and how to address the crime problems in the area. The Uniondale Police Station has 3 sectors, and one of the sectors is the deep rural sector. The crime for the Eden cluster for the past 11 months, on the contact crime, we had a minus 16.01% decrease. Contact-related crime, we had a minus 4.26% decrease. Property-related crime, we had a minus 16.59% decrease. And other serious crime, we had a minus 16.87% decrease. However, we had a challenge in the cluster with trio crimes, which are the more serious crimes: hijacking, house robbery, and business robberies. And as we mentioned to the Deputy Minister during the briefing, that the extortion rackets that have started in other parts of the country, and especially in the metropole, have now also filtered down to some of our areas. One of the main challenges that we have in the rural area is the problem of liquor. The geographic area of Uniondale is 19.68% of the Eden cluster. The population is 3.24% of the Eden cluster. And the volume of crime for the past 11 months that Uniondale contributed to the Eden cluster is 1.7%. So if I look at the crime for the Uniondale area for the past 4 years, they've done reasonably well over the period, except in 2018-19. That's a time when the Deputy Minister visited the area, where only contact crime and contact-related crime had decreases, and the other three categories had increases. Previous year, one category had an increase, which was contact-related, and that's more your damage to property. When people are under the influence and they fight, they break windows, etc., that was the crime that was more problematic. So overall, the crime picture looks reasonably okay. The lockdown period contributed to the crime picture the way it looks, because there were strict regulations on liquor, the ban of liquor. There were also curfew in place at various times, and the crime pattern analysis has largely changed and shifted as a result of the COVID-19. The days of the week that are the most problematic is your Saturday and Sunday. Over the weekends, there's a lot of liquor flowing and more crime is committed. The time when the crime is the highest is from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock at night. Then it's from 9 in the morning to 12, and then 2100 hours to midnight, when the most crimes take place. The instruments that are used here in the assaults, etc., are largely physical force, hands, dangerous weapons like knives, pangas, fortunately not really guns. I think that's the main overview on the crime. If I could just go to the crime generators in the interest of time. It's liquor, as I mentioned. Then we also have a drug problem in the area. The speaker earlier mentioned the focus of the CPF is going to be on addressing the liquor unlicensed premises and the drug houses that are operating in the area. And I appeal to the community leaders as well to let me know and my office know about some of the challenges that you have here, that I have this team at my office that I can send to come in and assist and deal with certain types of crime. There's a seasonal influx of workers as a result of this being a largely farming area. There are many repeat offenders, even parolees, those that go through our system, Deputy Minister, that do not reform. They come back and continue committing crime, so we have to rearrest them. There's also domestic violence that's prevalent. And here we need to break the silence. We need to speak out. We need to ensure that the perpetrators are arrested and brought to book, because gender-based violence is a national priority. The President has spoken about it, and he said COVID is the first priority, gender-based violence is the second priority. So we as the police take this serious, and we want to support you, we want to work with you to ensure that we give attention to that. And then the dangerous weapons. The knives are in the house. It's very difficult. We have many operations taking place where we do stop and search and we confiscate weapons, we arrest people, but the knives are readily available in the house that we need to look at. There are various projects that are undertaken with the senior citizens, with the youth, with the rural safety. There's some photos up there that you can have a look at, but I'm just going to pass that in the interest of time so that I can go to the second part of the presentation today, which is the complaints that were lodged previously. What happened to those complaints and what was the outcome of those investigations? So there were 22 formal complaints received by the Provincial Inspectorate complaints desk who were present at that meeting. Of those complaints, 6 were founded, 8 were unfounded, 6 were withdrawn by the complainants, 19 complainants were satisfied, and 1 complainant was unsatisfied. The types of complaints were dealt with was poor and unacceptable behavior of the police, poor management and control, no feedback to the complainants, fails to register a case, unlawful arrest, failed to attend complaints, assault, and poor investigation. The 1 complaint came in from Neisner. That complainant was satisfied. Another complaint came in from Kwanakatula. That complainant was also satisfied. Then we're going to go through to the individual complaints. The first complaint came from Mr. A. Jacobs. The complaint alleged that he was attacked by a certain police officer in the Community Service Center. A Captain B.J. George, who's stationed at Oudtshoorn Police Station, was appointed to investigate the matter. He conducted the investigation, and they found that the individual's mother had called the police because he was righteous and breaking things at home. The police then arrested him and took him to the police station, and there was proof that his rights were read to him, and it was resolved to his satisfaction, and the matter was then concluded. So that complainant was satisfied when the proof was submitted to him as to what actually happened. He just made an allegation that he was assaulted, but he was actually arrested as a result of his behavior, and his mother had called the police. The second complaint, Deputy Minister, was Mrs. J.M. Stolz. Here she alleged that there is no proper premises or space for the victim empowerment coordinator to work in. This matter was investigated by a Captain J.C. Witboy from Oudtshoorn Police Station. The matter also was found to be unfounded because a new VP room has been built at the police station, and they resolved that the proper accommodation must be made available to the VP member and coordinator. So it was resolved to the satisfaction of the complainant. Each complainant signs a specific form, the formal procedure, and we have that on file and on record. The third complaint was a Mrs. M. Malchas. He complained that the police fails to attend to her complaints received from the Neighborhood Watch. This complaint was investigated by Captain Kama from Pockelsdorp Police Station. Here the matter was unfounded as no specific date or time could be provided, and she signed a satisfactory statement that was sorted out. The fourth one came from Mr. H. Aris. He complained that he was attacked in the police station by a certain constable. The complainant further alleges that the constable sells tick and is assisted by other members in the police station. This individual withdrew the complaint after the investigator approached him. The investigator was a Captain Willemse, also from Oudtshoorn. So the complaint was seen as unfounded. There was no proof or evidence regarding that allegation, and it was withdrawn by the complainant. The fifth complaint was Mr. H.J. Birds. The complainant alleged that members failed to register a case docket for him. A Captain Stewart from George Police Station was the investigating officer. It was found that the matter was also unfounded because the complainant could not recall any information due to memory loss and decided to withdraw the complaint. So it was resolved to the satisfaction of the complainant. The next complaint was Mrs. S.S. Olivier. Here, the complainant alleges that members failed to provide feedback on a complaint she laid regarding a guy that is withdrawing SASSA money. The matter is founded. The SAPS failed to register a case docket. Uniondale Case 162 of 9 of 2019 was registered and investigated. A disciplinary case, internal investigation, was opened against a Constable Esau, a Constable Zana, and a Constable Lennox from the police station. So that was resolved to the satisfaction of the complainant. The 7th complaint was a Ms. J. Daniels. This matter was founded. The Uniondale Case 162 of 9 was opened. Discipline action here was taken against Constable Dupree, Constable Esau, and Constable Zana. It seems like this is repeated. Number 8 was a Mr. N. Smith. The complainant alleges that members are refusing to register case docket for him against his wife. Captain J. de Swart from George investigated the matter, and they found that it was unfounded. There was no evidence. The challenge here was that the wife opened a domestic violence case against the individual, and when the police went to arrest him, he then wanted to open a counter charge against his wife. So it was resolved to his satisfaction. The next one, Ms. S.F. November, 857 Fynbos. The complainant alleges that the police are never available at Haarlem Satellite Station and that the reaction time is very poor. Lieutenant Colonel R.J. Swart from Cornwall was appointed to investigate this matter. After the Deputy Minister's visit, there were 8 police officers, new constables that were allocated to Uniondale, and there were 8 vehicles between then and now, new vehicles that were allocated to the station. 4 of those new constables were dedicated to Haarlem so that they can provide a 24-hour service with 2 of the vehicles. So that matter was resolved to the satisfaction of the complainant, and she signed the statement. The next one, Ms. H.S. Kutsia. The complainant alleges that they were unlawfully arrested and taken to the police cells where members assaulted them. The matter is unfounded. It was investigated by Captain Willemse from Oudtshoorn. Here, the complainant decided not to continue with the complaint and withdrew the complaint and signed the satisfaction certificate. The next complaint was Mr. E. Kamfer. The complainant alleges that he opened numerous complaints regarding his livestock that are being stolen, but he is not receiving any feedback. This matter was investigated by Lieutenant Colonel R. Klaassen from George, who dealt with the stock theft unit. There's a specialized unit that deals with stock theft, and the matter was founded. Discipline investigations was opened against Warrant Officer Meyer and Warrant Officer de Villiers from the stock theft unit, and the complainant signed a satisfactory statement. Then the next one was a Mr. Hayden Rocht. He complains that he opened a case docket in 1990 and has not received any feedback on it. Lieutenant Colonel Klaassen also investigated this matter, Colonel Klaassen from George. The matter was founded. They looked into the records, and in 1990 there was no computers used in the police, so they couldn't trace his complaint. However, they then went into the old crime register, and they found his case, and they gave him feedback that his case was withdrawn in court. So he was satisfied, and he signed the satisfaction statement. The next one was a Mrs. Cecilia Dawn Adolf, and she explained that there was a housebreaking at her house. She commended the police for doing the good job as they recovered some of the items that were stolen from her house. However, she appeals for a swift response from police and wished that people who are found in possession of stolen goods should be prosecuted as they are also committing crime by buying stolen property. The case number there was 45 of 9/2019. That was also investigated by Lieutenant Colonel Claassen, and the matter is founded as Sergeant Swart failed to provide feedback, so discipline action was taken against him. The police are continuously doing stop and searches, looking for dangerous weapons and stolen property, and then they make arrest if they find people in possession. The next complaint was Mr. P. Howley. He complained that the Harlem satellite station is not open 24/7 and that he is being victimized by members. This was investigated by Lieutenant Colonel Sapepa from Thembaletu Police Station, and the feedback was provided to him. The 4 new constables and the 2 vehicles that were allocated to Harlem now ensures that the satellite station runs 24 hours. He also indicated that the police have stopped searching him, so he signed the satisfactory statement as well. The next one was a Mrs. V. van Rooyen. She alleges that members are failing to arrest a suspect in a housebreaking case and that she is unhappy with the investigation of the cases. It was investigated by a Captain Bauer from Oudtshoorn, and it was found that the complaint was unfounded because the suspect was arrested, and the feedback that was given to the complainant went to a wrong cell number. She had given a cell number with the digit that was off, and the police were then sending the feedback to that number under the impression that it was hers. That matter was then corrected. She signed that she is satisfied. The next one was a complaint by Reverend Anthony, indicating that the area is still experiencing white racism, where people are not treated the same. He explained that white people are still treated with preference over black people. He indicated that the area is experiencing racism, unemployment, social problems that lead to crime, and until those identified problems are dealt with decisively, Uniondale will continue experiencing the level of crime that is currently happening. That matter, this complaint had initially come through prior to the Deputy Minister's visit. So when the complaint initially came through, I appointed a Colonel Dreyer from Oudtshoorn to investigate that complaint. He investigated it, and it was he could not find sufficient evidence to substantiate racism. The feedback was given to Reverend Anthony and the committee, and the Reverend was not happy with the feedback. When the Deputy Minister arrived and did the community engagement and in Bizo, that complaint was then brought to the attention of the Deputy Minister of Police. The complainant requested that the complaint must be referred to IPID, the Independent Police Investigative Directorate. And the matter was then referred to them. They sent us in writing a letter indicating that this is not part of their mandate, so they cannot investigate it. A new investigating officer, Lieutenant Colonel Sapepa from Thembaletu, was then appointed to investigate the matter, and again it could not be substantiated with specific evidence. The complainants then signed the satisfaction statements, and we have it on record. The next one is Mr. R. Joseph. He complains that he was assaulted by the police. The matter is unfounded because the complainant decided not to continue with the complaint. He made the allegation in the meeting, but then he withdrew his complaint. The investigating officer there was Captain Willems from Oudtshoorn. Then Mr. L. Mlambo, he complained that he was unlawfully arrested. The matter was investigated by a Captain Bauer from Oudtshoorn, and it was found to be unfounded. because the complainant decided not to continue with the complaint. The matter was resolved and the complainant signed that he is satisfied. The next complaint was by Mr. Metic, and he complained about racism again, indicated that there is still a high white privilege in the area, and police cells seem to be reserved for black people, and no white people are being arrested for their crimes. This was investigated by Lieutenant Colonel Swart, and the matter was partly founded, and the case numbers that were provided did not indicate that these were all white suspects. Some of them were colored, but there was a case, CAS 20 of 9/2019, where a 496 was issued. And DR was opened against a Constable Kamir, who gave the 496, and Colonel Stander was also reprimanded regarding oversight of the people at the CSC to ensure that there is a fair treatment of all races at the police station. There was also an incident with the farmers and a shooting that took place. Those individuals were arrested. The case then went to court, and the matter was temporarily withdrawn at court because there had to be ballistic exhibits sent into the lab to be checked against the weapons that were confiscated by the police. The results returned. The investigation was then finalized, and the docket for those two cases are at the DPP, the National Prosecuting Authority in Cape Town. There was also a third case that was complained about, and that case is currently on the court roll. It has been remanded to the 29th of this month, where the white person was arrested. The next matter was Mr. Vilskut. The complainant alleges that two warrant officers shot at him for no reason, and the matter was investigated by Captain Bucas. The matter was found to be unfounded, and the complainant decided not to proceed. This was a matter where there was unrest, and the police had to open fire with rubber bullets, and as a result of the operational circumstances, the warning was issued, and then they had to disperse the crowd. So he has signed that he was satisfied with the investigation. The next one was Mr. A. Malau. The complainant alleges that no feedback is being provided on his case, and the case docket is missing. The matter was founded. The person that investigated this was Captain Mondlana from Neisner. Feedback was provided to the complainant. A disciplinary case was opened against Constable Jafta, and the case docket was then reallocated to a constable. That's his surname, dear. The matter was resolved to the satisfaction of the complainant. And then the 22nd one was Mr. N.T. Murubata. He is from Kwanakatula. The previous complainant was from Neisner. This complainant alleged that Kwanakatula does not have a proper police station and resources. It was investigated by a Captain Dekeni from George. The Western Cape supply chain head has already visited the site for the new police station, Deputy Minister. The paperwork has been finalized and has been submitted to head office. The local government, municipality, is donating the land to the SAPS. So there's paperwork that's supposed to be signed off, and due processes has already taken place. The application is now standing at head office, and it will then be prioritized at the national level. Mr. Murubata was satisfied and signed the satisfactory certificate. Then, Minister, there was 4 complaints that the Provincial Commissioner's Office, the complaints desk, were not aware of. What could have happened is that because it's a large crowd, when people speak, they are directed to the table. So these people maybe did not go to the table, so these were not investigated as part of the full investigation. But I want to give you the assurance that we will look into each of these cases and we will ensure a thorough investigation here. I just want to mention who the people are so that the Deputy Minister knows that we will definitely investigate these cases. The complaints desk is at the back, and if you are here when I mention your name, please be the first to go to that desk. There will be no cover-up. We are transparent and we want to ensure that we are here to protect and serve you. Police officers who are involved in corruption, in criminality, who are mistreating and ill-treating the community, who are not serving you properly, do not belong in this organization. They are not fit to wear this uniform, and we will deal with them. So that's the assurance I give you, Deputy Minister and General Libya and the senior officers. The first one that was not reported in the previous to the complaints desk was Ndompo Kolo, Qolo. The second one was unknown. There was no name. But it says in the complaint that the farmer lost 11 goats, and we were trying to establish who is that farmer. So I will make a follow-up there. The third one, there was just a name, Bentie, B-E-N-T-I-E. We're not sure who that person is, or if that person is here. The fourth one was a person called Cynthia, that we also don't have the information. This 4 complaints came through to me last night from the DM's office, and we tried to establish who are these people, and we could not get the information. If they are here, please, you are priority number 1 for the complaint. If those people are not here, and if there's anyone who's present, especially the leadership, the ward councillors, the CPF chairperson, and the community leaders, if you know these names, please refer them to us. During this engagement, the Provincial Commissioner's Office deals with the complaints. But if they are not able to come through now, then we'll also give you my details. They can deal with me directly, and I will deal with General Patekile and General Mangli's office. Deputy Minister, that's the overview of the feedback. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, General Reddy, for the feedback on the complaints from the previous session. Ladies and gentlemen, the Minister has also afforded us some time to interact. I know it's a feedback session, but the Minister had also asked that we allow those present to interact, and we're going to have Q&As, and I'm going to ask for 5 participants at first, that if there's anything that you want to raise with the Minister while the Minister and Minister Kwasa is here, for their attention and for the principals from the police as well, that we speak about it. Mr. Paul Davids is providing a mic in the center for protocol purposes. We're only going to use that mic and sanitize it after each speaker. So we're going to ask, and I will acknowledge you as the program director, if you have anything that you want to raise to the principals present. that you introduce yourself when you come to the mic, where you're from, your name and surname, so that it can be captured. We've got people keeping minutes of the meeting, and I would also ask that directly after you post your concern to the House, that you approach the bench at the back. Colonel Lang, if you can stand, that the people can see who you are. Colonel Lang from the cluster's office, HR, will record some of the questions and concerns. Then we also have Colonel De Wet and Colonel Philip from the provincial office, also placed at the back in the same corner. So please don't forget, if you do mention any concern or complaint, it needs to be recorded so that we can get back to you. So those are the complaints or concerns desk at the back. Verstaan ons? Moet ek het herhaal in Afrikaans gou vinnig? Ons het kolonel De Wet en kolonel Philip van die provinsiale kantoor wat die klagte sal afneem, wat die ondersoeke sal loods dan. Daar heel agter haar steek kolonel Philip sy hand op. En kolonel De Wet, as jy enige concerns het, dit is die persone, hulle gaan selfs na die tyd, kan jy ook met hulle kontak maak. Dan van die kluster, die gebiedskantoor se kant af, het ons vir kolonel Lang, die kolonel kan net weer aandui, kolonel Lang van die kluster se kantoor op die gebiedskantoor Eden, waar die klagtes gerekord of dan genotuleer kan word, sodat u kan terugvoering kry van wat u vandag hierso met ons deel. Verstaan u almal? Is u gemaklik daarmee? So ek gaan vra as daar enige concerns of enige terugvoer, self op die verslag, of dan wat u wil hê die ministers moet van kennis neem. Enige persoon? Daar's 'n heer. Goed, en daar's 'n volgende heer. Goed. 3, ek het die 4 hande. Kan die eerste heer na die mikrofoon kom? Asseblief. U voorstel, en ek wil net vra, groot asseblief, kom ons wees inskikkelik met die wat ook hier is, en verdraagsaam, dat ons elkeen net 'n kans het om een spesifieke item aan die ministers voor te hou, sodat ons vir almal 'n kans kan gee om interaksie te hê. You understand, so that we can be fair in giving everybody a chance to interact. Only one concern and be prompt, no stories, to the point, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Program Director. I'm here on Ms. Sharon Arendts, case number 109/3/2018. The ma'am asked me to give this or register this as this is a case that was laid by a late son who passed on last year. And ever since 2018, she didn't receive any response with regards to this case. I'm also going to finish now, Captain. The second one is case 68/01/2020, where a case of murder was, attempted murder was opened against some guy from Bloemfontein, who shot 7 shots on this vehicle. Up until now, nothing has happened, and this complaining is still waiting on SAPS for feedback with regards to this case. Also, that the guy who shot on him was arrested the same night and released the morning on R1,000 bail. He was supposed to be in court on the 25/03/2020. He didn't even arrive. So this is the 2 cases from Mr. Mohammed and also Ms. Sharon Arendts. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. Please just hand it in at the back, please, the complaints. That gentleman, yes, you're on post, sir. Please introduce yourself.
Goedemorgen of dankie voor die aandacht. Ik wil net onder die minister's aandacht brengen. Ik is Eddie Kamfer. Ik heb de klachten geregistreerd. Ik denk ik was klachten nummer 6 geweest. Dankie voor die aandacht wat er gegeven was aan zekeres van hierdie klagtes. Maar daar is ook nog klagtes, vooral die klachten nummer 1. Ik was gelukkig verlede donderdag. Toen kon ik meneer Kennedy raaklopen. Als gevolg van die ontmoeting met meneer Kennedy toen kon ik horen wat het gebeurt met sommige van hierdie klagtes. Zo zou ik niet van meneer Kennedy ontmoet het. Zou ik niet geweer het van ieders wat gekomen het vandaag niet. En ik zou ook nog niet gehelp geweest het niet. Zo ik vraag alsjeblieft weer hulp. Zaak nummer 9/2018 99/11 van 2018 is 'n bees van my wat gesteel was deur 'n wit vrou. Jammer om dit so te stel. Tot vandag toe, niks. Dankie vir die 2 sake wat afgehandel was, maar daar is ook nog 2 wat nog nie afgehandel is nie. So ek vra asseblief, julle hulp. Ons is net 3 breinboere hier in die Uniondale omgewing. Dit gaan maar swaar. Ek is eerlik. Ons goed word gesteel. Honde vreet ons hoenders op. Ons eiers op. Ons weet nie by wie ons gaan kla nie. So asseblief, meneer die minister, help ons. Klein boere. Dankie.
Thank you, Mr. Comfort. It's Mr. Comfort. He's one of the small farmers in the area, one of only 3 in the Uniondale area, farming with stock and cows and all those animals. And he's complaining about the hard time and hardship they experience, and specifically referred to a case where one of his cows was stolen. But he's also commenting the police for feedback on the other cases too, but there's 2 specific cases also registered during the previous time that he's not satisfied with yet. But it will be recorded at the back, Minister. Yes, sir. You may approach.
Goeiedag allemaal, mijn naam is Nico de Pre. Ik heb nou net gehoord die terugvoerders gegee, die Haarlem satellietstasie is oop. Maar nee, ek sê hy is oopie, want ons kry nie die diens daar nie, die stasie het nie 'n telefoon nie, daar's nie opvangsie, daar's nie eens toilets nie. So die polisielede gaan sit nie daar nie, want daar's niks. En ons wil maar net hê dat hy moet 24 ure vir ons oop is. Dit baat nie ons het 'n stasie daarin. Ons het nie toegang tot die goed nie. Dankie.
Minister, Mr. Nico de Pre, thank you, Nico. Just record your complaint at the back as well. Colonel Lang is indicating that you kan haar gaan sien, asseblief. Minister, Mr. Nico de Pre from Harlem, he says he disputes the fact that the satellite station is open. There's no telephone communication or ablution facility, and he appealed to the minister that the station, it's a satellite of Uniondale, must be operational 24 hours. There was another gentleman and then the lady.
Ek is Christy Boysen op die wijkkomitee van Uniondale dorp. Ek het 'n klag waarmee ek 'n paar jare al aankom, maar ek het nog nie voorreg gehad om te kan staan hier waar ek staan nie. Maar die klag wil ek graag onder die minister se aandag bring. Ek weet nie, ek is nie bang om dit te sê nie, maar as die polisie swak is hy swak. En hy moet aanvaar as hy swak is. Maar ons sukkel nou al vir 'n paar jaar op Snyberg, daar waar ek verdedig, om die polisie daar te kry. Die polisie se voorwoord is Snyberg is vir hulle te ver. Nou as hy in sy diens is Snyberg nie te ver nie. So in ander woorde dan doen hy mos nie sy diens nie. Want jy kan maar bel as jy 'n voertuig het. Jy kan maar bel, hulle kom net nie uit nie. As 'n beklei op 6:15 begin dit en die polisie kom 7:15. En as 'n moord tussenuit het gepleeg, vir wie moet jy nou beskuldig? Vir wie moet jy beledig? Nou wie toe moet jy die vinger wys? Want as die polisie vroeg genoeg gekom het, kon hy dit verhoed het. Ek vra die minister om hierdie saak wat ek vandag hier lê, dit moet stop en dit moet begin dat die polisie in Snyberg begin belangstel. Rooi rivier, rooi loop, dis plase wat polisie baie swaar raak kry. Dit moet vir die polisie gevra word waar die plase hulle gemaak. Want die mense het hulle niks gemaak nie. Ek hoor die woord van vriendskap, van veiligheid gepraat, maar dis nie wat hy plase kry nie. Hy plase kry niks. So die polisie se teenwoordigheid op Snyberg is uiters swak. Ek noem dit soms swak, want ek kan nie om 'n gesonde vinger 'n lap draai nie. Vra julle om te kom, hulle kan net nie kom nie. Nou hulle moet vir die minister kan sê wat is die rede wat hulle nie kan daar kom nie, maar my gemeenskap kry baie swaar onder die polisie.
Thank you, sir.
Baie dankie meneer.
Mr. Boysen, Minister, he's got concerns. He's from Snyberg. You can record the complaint at the back, sir. You can achter by Kolonel Leng net rapporteer. His concern is the geographical area of Snijberg is in the rural area, and when they called out for complaints, it takes too long for police to respond, and he's not pleased with the overall performance or services delivered by the police. Yes, ma'am. Please introduce yourself.
Almal, ek is Verity van der Rooyen, my naam was al reeds genoem. Ek het vir 2019 'n klag aangedien. Ek wil net dankie sê dat daar aandag gegee was aan die ondersoek van my saak. Al was ek so woedend weens dit 'n bietjie tyd geneem. So ek wil net baie dankie sê, maar die tyd was so min geweest. Daar is nog klagtes. Ek is van Avontuur. Jammer, ek het nou verkeerd begin. Avontuur, dat is nou net Uniondale Haarlem wat genoem is. So Avontuur is ook daar, deel van Uniondale. So ons is op die platteland, op 'n landelike gebied waarvan ons ook die polisie baie nodig het. Ek was 'n paar vrae wat ek nog wil, klagtes wat ek nog wil genoem het. Avontuur, soos ek nog gehoor het van Haarlem met nie 'n satellietstasie nie, Avontuur self nie. Ons het die polisie baie nodig. Veral as dit kom by SASSA, dan het ons die polisie nodig. Daar's mense wat verklaringe moet onderteken, dan is nie 'n polisie beskikbaar nie. Om ons geleenthede in Avontuur is baie swak. Ons mense moet ry loop om in Uniondale te kom. So ek het al op 'n tyd het ek al gevra vir die polisie as hulle nie kan uitkom om ons mense te help, veral ons bejaardes. So ek in die eerste plek wil ek weer eens baie dankie sê, maar ek wil net vra dat die polisie asseblief as ons hulle vra om uit te kom om ons te kom help, dat hulle asseblief sal uitkom om ons te kom help. Regtig waar Avontuur ons is eintlik afgewyk, ons is eintlik weggegooi as dit by die polisie kom. Daar is nie hulp vir ons nie. Soos die een persoon nou reeds gesê het, daar is nie 'n vervoer. As jy vra, kom help ons net, daar is 'n vervoer, daar is nie 'n vervoer nie. So weer eens baie dankie vir my saak wat julle aan aandag gegee het met die inbraak van my crash, waarvan hulle R3000, oor die R3000 se waarde gesê. Baie dankie meneer minister.
Minister Mrs. Verity van Rooyen from Avontuur in the rural area, thanking the police for the attention given to her case. There was feedback given by General Reddy already. She's pleased with that, but she still have concerns with regard to the distance and the geographical area and the response by police, and especially when it's SASSA grants payout time. There's statements that need to be certified, but unfortunately, they don't have a satellite station, neither do they have public transport, it seems, and they have to hitchhike from that area to Uniondale to be helped. Reverend Anthony, net daardie persoon, en dan gaan ek vir u kans gee, dan gaan ons gou klaarmaak. You may, sir. And with the minister's permission, then we're going to end this session so that we can proceed to the others.
Dankie vir die geleentheid. Dit is nou al my tweede of derde keer wat ek praat. En ek is polisie van Uniondale. Ek is ook op die polisieforum. My klag is die volgende. Ons het 'n polisie stasie wat beman word, maar as ons klagtes het en ons bel die polisiestasie, dan kry jy die persone wat aan diens is wat vir jou antwoord. Hulle is eers rassisties aan die een kant en dan die ander ding is dan sê hulle vir jou, minister, ek wil graag hê, ek praat direk eintlik met u, want in Uniondale verstaan ek is 8 vangwaans, maar as jy bel vir 'n klagte wat daar is waar mense mekaar doodmaak, eendag is een lady in my straat doodgesteek en daar's gebel, toe word daar gesê hier is net een vangwa wat die is, wat beskikbaar is vir patrollie. En nou het ons verstaan, daar is 2, maar hier is 8 in koloniaal standaard sit gewoon met die ander 6 op, hy moet permission gee wanneer die ander 6 kan uitkom, maar as dit naweke is, hulle weet dit is moeilik en dit is zwaar, maar daar is net 2 vangwa vir Uniondale in die gebied om te bedien. Baie dankie.
Minister, Mr. Nkolo, police, is complaining about the availability of response vehicles from the police. According to his knowledge, he says there's 8. But when called, there's none available, and he's referred to an incident where one of the young ones was stabbed to death in Uniondale, and the response was that there's only 1 vehicle available. Further to that, he also says when they call in, they receive racist remarks from the police members. That's what he said. You weren't specific with regard to that. Reverend Anthony, and then we're going to close the session.
I would like to commend the police and especially the cluster. General Reddy, it was done in a professional, very, very professional way. Thank you for coming back to the community and to inform us of the progress of all those complaints. I really want to commend the police. Can I just quickly emphasize the 2 people who came to the fore and emphasize that they've, in the past, phoned the local police and the reaction would be there are not enough vehicles. That happened to myself. We got the message that the lady was raped. I went to the police station and we didn't get really support from the police. 300 people from the community then went to look for the rapist. And with my own car, with my own vehicle, I had to transport that person to the police station. Now, that really is totally unacceptable. That really happened because I phoned the police station and told them that I've got the alerts of a rapist, and I had to transport him to the local police station myself. General Pinar made a very made a very interesting remark. She asked the community of Uniondale, "Are you safe? Do you feel safe?" Now, proactively, seeing that Deputy Minister Squatsa is also going to speak, I would proactively ask that you should also think that the answer on that question, the response on that question, "Are you safe?" relates much more only to criminality. It relates also to the lack of certain services, the lack of basic things in our community. I think General Reddy also mentioned that the unemployment rate is 16%. I've got some bad news. It's much higher. Much higher. It's definitely closer to 60%. And responding to the question, are we safe? No, we are not safe. No, we are not safe, and it only not relates only to the police services, but a lot of other community challenges. So I'm looking forward to the address of the Deputy Minister, Mr. Squatsa, and we would love to engage with him after this plenary session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Reverend. Net vir ons Afrikaans sprekendes miskien, if I may, Minister, just for the community, to explain to them what was said by the Reverend. Die eerwaarde Anthony het die polisie geloof vir die snelle optrede en professionele manier waarop hulle die klagtes hanteer het wat in die vorige imbizo aan die lig gekom het. Maar hy verwys ook na die vorige sprekers, 2 sprekers wat gepraat het oor dienslewering spesifiek, te wyte aan die reaksietyd en die beskikbaarheid van voertuie en resources of hulpmiddels, en genoem ook dat hy self betrokke was by 'n geval waar daar verkrachting plaasgevind het, en toe omtrent 300 gemeenskapslede, en hy self gaan soek na die vermeende verkragter en die verkragter gearresteer het, eintlik terwyl dit ons werk was as polisiediens. So dit is net sy besorgdheid dat dienslewering nog nie is waar dit moet wees nie en die beskikbaarheid van hulpmiddels. En hy sien uit natuurlik na die toespraak ook van dink Minister Skwatsha, dat hy net daar ook kan intap. Thank you, Minister. Those were the response from the community. I think we're going to close the session with your permission, Minister, and ask for response. I don't know if yourself going to respond, or the cluster commander, or... The responsible people are, yes, says the Minister. So the cluster commander or the provincial commissioner must just quickly respond. The station commander is present. Sorry, I did not acknowledge him in the beginning. Colonel Stander, would you please come and take the podium?
Thanks a lot, Minister, for this opportunity to respond on this complaints. I, with concern, take notice of the complaints that you've given. I make some notes so I can respond on some of the complaints. The first complaint, Minister Jacques Eso, that case I've noted, 109/3/2008, Sharon Arends with the no feedback. We will obtain the docket and the SAP5 to look at the specific feedback that were recorded to the complainants regarding that issue. The attempted murder, 68/1/2020, attempted murder, that was the case that General Reddy has referred in his previous feedback to you, Minister, that the case is currently postponed till the 29th of March this year for a regional court date. So that case will be appearing in the regional court date. The issue of the bail of the morning, that we can see, but the procedure is it goes to the court, that the prosecutor establish or indicate if they will give bail or there will be a bail application regarding that. So we will look into the circumstances of that application, that bail were granted regarding that specific case, Minister. Minister, Mr. E. Kamfer, the stock theft issues, we will deal that in terms of the one case he referred to as stock theft of, or he referred to as stock theft of a cow. We will have a look at that specific case. The issue that he dealt with Colonel Kennedy was dealt with regarding that concern. And Mr. Nico de Pre, we take note of that concern of the communication. The telephone issue, we have been issued with a new telephone now. The previous one were default. So we still outstanding. We need from Telkom to establish the connection with the PIN. The radio base set, we also have reported. The current challenges as well as the temporary repeater we have in our rural area due to the geographical area. The reception is not conducive of in a good communication, so that we will have in place. The toilets, we're making use of Haarlem Community Hall, Minister. So the only toilets available for us there is the Community Hall toilets. They're only giving by good faith. They're giving us a room to operate our Haarlem contact point as a service point in that community. The need is still great, Minister, to have a fully fledged satellite station there established to render a better service and an efficient service to the community in that environment and in that specific area, Minister. That was that concern of Mr. Nico de Pre. Mr. Christy Boysen of Snyberg. That's a rural area. It's about 55 kilometers, Christy, if I'm correct, from Uniondale. It's a rural community. So we will have get the details of the previous complaints. We have a complaint system, the CAS administration system, that we record all the complaints with a specific IR number reference that we can look in terms of his previous complaints and get the details of the specific complaints and the members involved to address that issue, Minister. Minister Valerie van Rooyen of Ventuur, I know her. We appreciate the satisfaction in terms of the complaint. The SASA issue, we already assisting Uniondale. Here the community hall there, Domine Anthony's place of worship, that we sent a member static there with all the stamps to assist for the certifications and the affidavits in terms of the need for them for the SASA documents to be completed. So we are rendering that additional service. So I will liaise with Valerie van Rooyen in terms of Ventuur. Then she can just give me the dates, and then we can see to render a specific service there with a static vehicle or a member at that specific venue, Minister. So that I can give my assurance that we can do that. I have no problem. She just has to approach me, but I will approach her to deal with that issue. Mr. Kolo Felicio. I take note of the concern of the CSC, that they found the CSC, that there is no vehicle available, but we will get that specific details and incidents that we can follow it up and deal with that specific Minister, that specific complaint. And the issue that he mentioned that the 8 vehicles and that I myself, Station Commander, have to give permission for the other 6 vehicles to be deployed, Minister. Our compulsory deployment as a Lieutenant Colonel station is 2 vehicles in Sector 1 and Sector 2. That's a compulsory deployment for Lieutenant Colonel Station 2 vehicles. General, the other vehicles, Minister, the other vehicles are deployed in terms of our crime pattern analysis, where the crime is prevalent, that we identify through our operations, that we institute, that's during the week and over weekends. Then we deploy the additional vehicles according to that crime hotspots and that needs for that specific weekend to prevent those crimes. So usually we have got a CPU members here at Uniondale that's additional 2 vehicles. I've got 3 sector commanders that we also deploy during weekends, myself and other ranking officers, my visible head and that, for additional deployment over weekends. So during the week, where the availability of personnel is, we deploy accordingly the need that there is in terms of the additional vehicles, Minister. Minister Domine Anthony, thank you for that response. And that rape incident, we will have a look regarding that. What the specific circumstances were on that day were regarding as he mentioned, that they had to arrest and bring the suspect to the police station. We will look at the circumstances there regarding that. I think there were some issues there that was the wrong suspect, one of the suspects, but we will look specific at that intervention of Domine Anthony. But there were arrests made in that specific rape case that were investigated by FCS Unit Oudtshoorn. So I will have a look at that, Minister. The other concern of the Domine were are you safe in Uniondale relating to the geographical area and the other involvement of others, government stakeholders. I share his concern regarding that. in terms of our social services, social development, the involvement of them, the specific that they are based at Uniondale. Permanent, we have been served from George, so it's only 2 times a week that we really have them here to assist us with our problematic challenges in terms of domestic violence, liquor related and social issues like children that is involved in incidents. So yeah, Minister, that's also a need for the rural towns to have proper service from the other government stakeholders to assist the police and the community in addressing our current challenges that we experience, Minister. Minister, that's in short my feedback on the complaints mentioned here, the 6 complaints, Minister, with your permission. Excuse, Minister. Thank you, Minister.
This is a Provincial Commissioner. General Patikile will also respond.
Thank you, Program Director. Our Deputy Ministers present, National Head of the Hawks, Major General Pinar and Deputy Provincial Commissioners, all generals, station commanders, CBFs, the head of the Secretariat, cluster commanders. I just want to say it would appear, Minister, that station commander is aware of all these complaints and has answered them. But what I would want us to look at, we have now elected a new CPF. These should be the things that we deal with them on a daily basis in our CPF meetings. We should not really wait for a bigger day like this so that those CPF members account to the community as well. I think that's a very important part. And as far as the road safety strategy, where it is far away, 55 km away from here and at Ventire, what we would want to see is the sector commanders and those rural safety coordinators that we'll have to put in a program that they go around. We're looking at mobile satellite stations that will go with all the documents inside for certification and all that. And I think that's very important. But also, ons moet betrokke raak, almal van ons. We should actually all get involved at that level. I just want us to say, if we were to look at our street committees at the state level, because the crime is happening there, and our community patrollers at that area, and so as the farm watch and the block watch is where we're sitting, surely we would identify many of the problems and solve them and bring them to the attention. What we've done at the station level, at the station, there should be the number of the station commander in the notice board. If you can't get the station commander, then the cluster commander's number. And if you can't get them, then we will give you our numbers. Maybe mine, you take mine is 082 7797 238. 082 7797 238. But then you should have phoned the station commander, which you could not find, and the cluster commander. Not the other way around, then 2 o'clock in the morning, you call me to say it's a wrong number, and I can't sleep at that time. Please. So it is important that really, let's start at the state level. State committees at that level, we don't want to say we are going to form state committees because they are already there. You got your ward committees that are there. Our sector crime forums are there. All we have to do is just sanitize. The district approach is to solve many of these problems, integrated, the IDP, for example, that where we look, we also sit in the stations and to give our input. It would assist us to look at the future. Yes, we understand this is far away from anywhere, but if we all synthesize and talk and be together, then we'll be able to achieve. Lastly, the Harlem part. We depend on the municipality to give us the hall and the toilets and everything because it's not our building. But I'm sure we will then request the cluster commander and look at what we could get. Is there any building that perhaps we could hire temporarily as a satellite station that all municipalities donate that building to us so that we can look after it if it's donated to us and rent it. I wouldn't mind paying R5 for the building of the municipality, but then we look at the services because also our members must remember they are human beings. They need to have running toilets, water, and we're also looking at the safety of our members as well, which we want to make that challenge to you as a community. Protect our members. Let us support them when they are there. Thank you very much, Deputy Minister.
Responding now is General Lebea. Let me say that from the Hawks, so that people understand.
Thank you very much, Program Director, the Honorable Deputy Minister of Police and the Deputy Minister Mathale and Deputy Minister Skwacha, and then Mr. Kama, the MPL, and other senior government representatives from both the national, provincial, and the local level, the councillors, the acting provincial commissioner of the Western Cape, Major General Patekile, all the major generals present here, the members of the community. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Mine is not to answer any question because the questions have not been directed at the Hawks, the Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation. I just thought that I should also participate and give a message of encouragement. I'm impressed and encouraged for your participation in the fight against crime. Let's take part in this process, for if we sit back, the criminals are the ones that are going to group themselves and form what we call organized crime. So ours as the Hawks is to deal with national priority offenses. When these crimes are committed, the lawmakers, as you see them here, they write these laws and say yours as the Hawks is to deal with national priority offenses. And those national priority offenses in the main are serious organized crime, serious commercial crime, and serious corruption. You may be hearing, maybe from time to time, that we are dealing with serious commercial crime where people will be stealing to the extent of even want to destroy the bank. You may be hearing about people who will be stealing from the municipalities where they are supposed to deliver services to the people, to the extent that the municipalities are no longer able to deliver proper services. That is corruption. And you may be hearing others who are in the process of wanting to deliver drugs to the children or to other people. And in that process, they might even want to kill each other, which is what we call organized crime. And when it becomes serious organized crime, those are part of the mandate that we deal with. So let's, in contributing to this fight against these types of crime, resist the temptation of wanting to take drugs. Resist the temptation of wanting to offer bribe, and resist the temptation of wanting to receive gratification. In whatever form it may be offered, let's resist that temptation. And if we do that, we will find that there are few people who are interested in going to harvest abalone that I will often to see across in other countries. You will find that people are no longer interested in selling firearms because nobody wants to kill the other for the purpose of getting illegal commodity. Before I sit down, I just need to part an educational portion that I often find that we make a mistake on a daily basis. It's the name of the organization that we belong. Number one is this police service. I often hear every day people calling it the South African Police Services. It is not services. You delete the last S so that we say the South African Police Service. I also see that from time to time others will say Directorate for Priority Crime Investigations. Again, you delete that last S so that it is Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation. You know, whenever you are not sure about this type of things, you go to the law that created these things. And that is where you will find what is the correct terminology. Thank you very much. I appreciate for the opportunity.
Thank you, Program Director, Deputy Ministers Mathale and Swacha, all the General Abia, colleagues from other departments, from the police. I just want to say all protocol observed so that I can be quick. General Patekile, General Abia, and I think especially also the station commander responded to most of the detailed issues. I think from my side, the question that I want to ask is how can we at Police Head Office actually provide support to the police in the province, to the district and to the station? What can we do to help you to deal with some of these challenges? I'm going to mention a couple of things that I know are currently being done from Police Head Office side that might be able to assist. And then the provincial management can take that forward in terms of how they make that practical here. But I know that there's currently an initiative to provide mobile community service center, which is a big truck that includes basically a CSC. And we are procuring currently those mobile CSCs. Some of them have been delivered, some of them are supposed to be delivered by the end of this month. And I know some of them will come to Western Cape. One of the things that you can consider is maybe using that mobile service to go to these remote communities, so to Snyberg, to Avontuur. Maybe you have a schedule that says on Saturday morning we'll be in Avontuur and Saturday afternoon we'll be in Snyberg. And so your community knows on that day I can go for, you know, the more routine things that you want to report, the documents you want certified, you know they'll be there. But maybe also they can use that service when there is a SASSA grants payments, that they use a mobile service on that day and your community knows, then also the process will be safer because you have a police presence. Now, there's a limited number of those vehicles, but that is something that I think that can be considered in this area, specifically for the remote rural villages or the communities. The other aspect is, as I think we're on an ongoing basis, increasing and improving our vehicle fleet. So in the allocation of the vehicles, that is something the province can consider. Do we have the adequate number of vehicles for this area? But I know there's also a national project currently looking at improving the turnaround time for when vehicles go into service. Because one of our big problems in the police is that we might have vehicles on paper, but sometimes they're in for a service and it takes a long time for them to be repaired. So that is a national initiative where the National Commission and the management of that environment is focusing specifically on improving the turnaround time and the management of our mechanical services for vehicles. Then we have a range of projects, and General Matonsi is here. He can speak much more knowledgeably about this than I can. But there is a number of social crime prevention projects like the Community in Blue project, which is a project of the Community Police Forum, where we can actually enlist and recruit community volunteers to work with the police. And it's an extension also of your sector policing. So you could have your sector commander, but they identify a group of community volunteers that can work with the sector commander and make sure that maybe as things happen, they can intervene, they can assist, but they can then also call the police. So they don't provide a police service, but they can work with their community to try and address what happens in the community and to be the eyes and ears of the police, essentially. And in the same vein, we can recruit more police reservists. We are currently in the process of recruiting reservists and also starting to train a new group of reservists. So I don't know if in this area there has been reservists recruited, if they've gone through the selection process, but I know that nationally for every province at the moment, they've got a group of reservists that are ready for training, and that will give you additional boots on the ground to help you respond. So again, in your more remote villages, let's see if we can get some of your people to be recruited as reservists, and that means when your sector vehicle comes there, that sector commander and the other member, they can be supported by reservists so that you have more people available in your community to provide that policing service. So those are, I don't want to speak too long, but I think those are some of the initiatives that we're running from a national level, but that can assist in each community to provide a better service to the communities. Thank you very much, Program Director, for allowing me.
Thank you, General Finance. Thank you, General Lebia, for your contribution as well. Perhaps I should, with your, just in short, I'm going to adapt to my size so that the community can also understand just a few pointers in Afrikaans, Minister. Especially, I'm going to start with General Pina's remarks about the community center or the mobiele aanklagtekantore, die projek op nasionale vlak wat geloods is, waar trokke wat volledig toegerus is, voertuie wat volledig toegerus is, om van een punt na 'n ander punt veral gepas vir die landelike areas, soos Snyberg en die plekke wat afgeleë is, waar dit gebruik kan word. Dis 'n proses wat aan die gang is, wat uitgerol word tans van nasionale kantoor af. So die provinsie, die Weskaap kry ook. So ons sal daarna kyk om te kyk hoe dit ook geakkommodeer kan word, of hoe Uniondale byvoorbeeld geakkommodeer kan word in die projek. En dan ook kyk hulle na die verbetering van die vloot van voertuie, en veral na die omswaai tyd wanneer dit kom by reparasies of wanneer voertuie reggemaak moet word, dat ons kyk om dit vinniger te maak, sodat die gemeenskap toegang tot daardie dienste het en die voertuie. En dan ook verwys na die gemeenskap in blou, Community in Blue is a national project from the National Commissioner's Office. Dit is waar ons kyk na die werwing van gemeenskapslede wat saam met die sektorbestuurders in gemeenskappe kan werk, en dat ons ook sodoende meer reserviste kan werf om deel te wees van ons polisiediens. So dit in baie kort, en dan Generaal Lebia het net gesê wat die mandaat is spesifiek van die Hawks of die Valke, soos dit bekend staan algemeen in die volkstom, en wat hulle doen en wat 'n tipe misdaad hulle doen spesifiek met betrekking tot internasionale of nasionale misdade, kommersiële misdade en die prioriteite wat nasionaal is, en hy het ook verwys na korrupsie, byvoorbeeld die ondersoeke wat tans aan die gang is teen munisipaliteite wat veronderstel is om dienste te lewer aan ons gemeenskappe. Dan het hy ook net 'n beroep gedoen op die gemeenskap om die versoeking om dwelms te gebruik en by misdaad betrokke te wees, om dit te vermy, daai versoeking te weerstaan, né? Sodat ons nie ingee aan daardie versoekings nie. En sodoende kan ons 'n gemeenskap vorm wat veilig is. Dan, daar is nie polisiedienste in Suid-Afrika nie, daar's een polisiediens. That I have to emphasize because sometimes we also make that mistake in the service ourselves. It's not the South African Police Services, that is die Suid-Afrikaanse polisiediens. Amen? On that note, please, for a matter of time, may I introduce and call to the podium Deputy Minister Squatter. I'm not going to do a formal introduction, but let's give the podium to the Minister.
Andifuna uthatha into yakhe. Hayi mayihlale kuyo. Oh, thank you very much, Program Director. I was just encouraging you to continue with your program of sanitizing so that you don't give me yours and I also don't give you mine. You know. Program Director, Captain Pochin. Yes. Honorable Deputy Minister Cassel Mathale, Honorable Shadow MEC for Community Safety, a member of the Provincial Legislature, Honorable Mesuli Kama, the Speaker of the municipality, if he's still here, welcomed us. The leadership of the ANC, whose presence I have noted from the region and local, and a leadership of any political organization that might be present here. I might have a weakness of not knowing leaders of other political organizations, but I would love to recognize them. The ward councillor for the area, Ward 25, Councillor Esso, General Lebia from the, you are a doctor by profession. You have studied to be a doctor. No, not a doctor, not a medical doctor, I know. I could really confirm when you were speaking here, you know, when you were telling us, please remove that S, leave it as it is, remove that S, you know. I really liked that emphasis. I don't think that, you know, when you call this longer directorate of priority, whatever, we as a community just get confused. And I'm sure many, many people sitting in this hall do not know you when you are introduced in that way. I'm sure that's why the program director was saying, this is the head of the hawks. The man we usually see on television. The man many people are asking, when are you arresting Squatter? When are you arresting so-and-so? You see? Then they can say, oh, is this the one? Yes, you know. And the leadership of the South African Police Service. You see, I've learned something. From national, the provincial commissioner, General Patekile, then, before I go astray and make mistakes, after the spokesperson of the province of the SAPS, I really want to say, after you, Brigadier Patel, I would really want to say all protocol observed. Otherwise, this will put and I love the organization DM of the police, very organized, and things are done in a particular way. I wish as a department we can learn a thing or two. I have been invited here by my colleague, the Deputy Minister of Police. And I've agreed to come and support him. And so when I was saying to him, it would seem that many issues are related to crime and I don't need to say anything. He said, no, it can't be. I must stand up and greet. Now, politicians do not just greet and say hi. My greeting is to say a bit about who I am and what we do. And you know, DM, now that I'm reminded that both of us are deputy ministers, it seems that there is some destiny intertwined between you and I. When you were provincial secretary of Limpopo, I was provincial secretary. And I don't know whether you remember that, in fact, when you were studying at UWC, I accommodated you somewhere in Kukuletu. I must say that I am very, very impressed with what I have observed here. At a particular stage, I felt that perhaps there is no acknowledgement of such a report as good as the one that was given by Major General Reddy. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I'm making the point because day in, day out, the whole world and the whole of South Africa is being told about how bad the police are. They are killing people. They are doing all kinds of bad things. And I am in no way, DM, suggesting that those must be hidden. No, I'm not saying so. But the positive news must also come out, which are glaring. Someone said something here. I have an advantage, DM, of knowing these areas because I come from this province. And in my previous work, I know forgotten areas like Uniondale, even in the rest of the Southern Cape, an area that was called the DMA, District Municipal Area. I know how even it is difficult for those with resources when they visit the Southern Cape to visit George, Platt, and all other areas, but not Uniondale. And I also know how deprived areas like Uniondale, Harlem are Fontier and others are. And it would be disingenuous of me not to acknowledge and appreciate the fact that you, Deputy Minister Cassel Mathale, came here in September and listened to people here where there might be no TV cameras. Listened to them because hele as ook mens, like any other people in this South Africa. They do cast their vote like any other person in this South Africa. And therefore, what you do in Sea Point in Cape Town should also be done by us here in Uniondale. And therefore, my colleague and your team, I really want to congratulate you for listening to people in September, telling them that you will come back to them, coming back to them and reporting in detail whether something we think is small or not, but here was a Major General. The leadership of the South African Police Service descended on this small community and told them that you said this to us, this is how far we have gone with what you said to us. And I think they deserve a round of applause. And I'm not in any way saying the problems of the people of this area are now done. Immediately after that report, we now had people coming up and saying, when the police are not doing their work, we are going to say so. But we are also grateful and thanking them for what they have done. That can only encourage you, DM, to do more with your team, to make sure that these people whose oppression was not God-made, but made by human beings, they get out of that situation. And thank you for that. I have a constituency DM in the Southern Cape, in an area called Hesekwa, Riversdale, Heidelberg. As you drive on the N2, you would see that. I now am opportunistically telling you that Parliament did rise yesterday, and we're now a constituency. I'm going to my constituency. There's an allegation that I think I don't need to wait for my constituency since I have this opportunity of you and your leadership. Yeah. I am going to be listening to something I've already been told. It is an allegation that in my constituency, in police cells, acting provincial commissioner, there are people who have died in police cells there. I think it is a serious matter. But as I stand here, it remains an allegation. I'm going to listen to it. I want the DM to know about it, but I will properly take it if it is really so. So there is good work that is happening. But we cannot deny the fact that there are rotten apples amongst us, whether it is in the police service or in the political leadership. And those are the ones that Major General Reddy was saying must be reported so that they can be dealt with. Those are the ones that General Libya was saying, don't be tempted to give bribes or accept bribes. And so, one of the things that I can confirm knowing such areas is the ripeness of racism. Racism in these areas is very, very ripe. And sometimes, I'm not sure about this area, where police stations are just closed and you are told that it's a weekend, the police station is closed. You raised, Sir Reverend, you raised an issue. And I want to agree with you that the leadership of the police service under the political leadership of Undosino, GM, and anybody will always have limitations in solving the problems in our country, as long as we still have poverty. And that's your matter of interest. We don't deal with guns in my department. We deal with cabbages, carrots, butternut, and so forth. And the more we give cabbages, butternut, and to people, the less problems you are going to have. Because as long as there is poverty, we're still going to have problems. Now, I am the Deputy Minister of Agriculture. That's cabbages, butternut, carrots, and all those things. I am the Deputy Minister of Agriculture, Land Reform. Land. You can't have them if you don't put your seeds on the land. Agriculture, land reform, and rural development. And this area is a rural area, sir. I'm sure you ought to feel that even if I was invited here, just the right person was invited, isn't it so? Yes. But then, I really think that it would be unfair for me to take 5 or 10 minutes to deal with the issues of my department. I really think that without hijacking your program, I really want to say to the community of Uniondale, please also give me a day like you have given the Deputy Minister. On a serious note, so that I, like him, can come with my team and say, these are the things that we do. This area, small-scale farmers are very, in fact, this is a farming community. And I really want to say, please give us our day too. Today, Deputy Minister, I have asked my boss here, the Chief Director of the Western Cape, to accompany me. The person I say, when I make a commitment, his role is to implement it. And I want him to stand up so that you can see him. Here he is. His name is Mr. Lubabalo Mbekeni. Now, I also brought that beautiful lady, but she's married already, please. who is sitting next to him, Loretta Brown. She is the district director for the Garden Route and the Central Karoo. Now I've brought the two of them only today. Now I also want my own show where I bring my brass also. You know? But today I don't want to steal your thunder, sir, because I can steal it, yeah? And on a serious note, ladies and gentlemen, the Reverend who opened here for us said, do we understand our calling? And I can safely say to him, what I have seen here today confirms to me that Deputy Minister Mathale understands his calling and his team. Because sometimes in positions like the ones we are in, it's very, very easy to forget our calling. Because when it is nice, after speaking, someone comes and takes the speech. As you get out, someone takes your bag. As you get into the car, someone opens the door. It's very easy to forget your calling. And some of us remember our calling when a reshuffle is around the corner. So we must always remember that we are called deputy ministers, ministers, and whatever. And our calling is to make sure that the people of South Africa become better people because they have a government that cares and is doing things for them. Uba ubesekhona umfundisi, ngiyambona akasekho. I was going to tell him that this was basically just the right text, especially at the eve of Easter. I've got another calling. I don't know whether you are part of that one, but now I am a Christian, and I don't only go to church. So I don't want to be tempted to preach because there's a lockdown. I might just want to use this platform to preach, especially the eve of Easter. So I really want to say that I really want that day, and am I right, Mr. Mbegeni, to say that day must not be more than a month from now so that we come back here? Ne? Okay. We don't want to make it long. In fact, it would have been better if we had come before because the new financial year is just around the corner. So we don't want to make it long. We will communicate a proper date and the leadership is here and so forth. But we would like to come back here. Land reform deals with issues of tenure reform. It deals with restitution. It deals with land redistribution. We really want to put our things here so that you see where it matters most for you. And we really want to make sure that food gardens and all those things, we must be able to grow the land so that instead of us going to Spar, Spar comes to us to buy what we have been able to produce from the land. Ngalo mazwi lawo, I really want to thank you for giving me an opportunity to say something. Diabulela Osikela. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Skwatsha. I think the community is looking forward to your department's return. Let me just, General particularly instructed me to convey these next numbers also to the community present here, so that he's not bothered 2 o'clock in the morning unless you've bothered these people. I'm going to start with General Mankey's number, provincial-led visible policing, 082, or Deputy Provincial Commissioner. 082 857 6182. Is that correct, General? That's the number. Confirmative. General Reddy is the Cluster Commander, Eden, Gebiedsbevelvoerder. 082 778 7915. 082 082 778 7915. Then the Station Commander, that is your first point of departure. Station Commander, 082 Colonel Stander, 082 778 6751. Before the introduction of the Deputy Minister, may I take this opportunity, Minister, just to welcome also our Eden FM listeners tuned into this specific conference. There's approximately 250,000 other recipients. This whole event is also broadcast live on Eden FM community radio station. They park, their mobile truck is parked just next to the church hall, and they start transmitted even before your arrival. So the whole community in the Southern Cape is tuned into this conference. On that note, welkom ook aan ons luisteraars van Eden FM met die komplimente 109, of is dit 103.9 of 109.3. Is ons ingeskakel met daar in die voorkamer ingesluit. So ontvang ons daar met vreugde en gesels saam met ons. That was just a commercial break, Minister. And General Labia, I don't receive any kickbacks from them. That was just on the cuff. That was on a lighter note. Yeah, let me get my cue back. Mr. Kama is a member of the provincial legislature, but also the Shadow Minister for Community Safety. And he will do us the honors to introduce our keynote speaker, the Deputy Minister of Police.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Let me first greet you, the Deputy Minister of Police, Honorable Cassel Mathale, and the Deputy Minister of Rural Development and Land Reform, Deputy Minister Honorable Skwatsha. Leadership of subs at all levels, and out of fear of being remembered as the person who had the simple task but wasted time that could be used for what is important for today, let me proceed by first saying that when I grew up, I've often heard people on occasions like this saying it is an honor and a privilege to be standing in front of you, so let me also say it is an honor and privilege to be standing in front of you. It is truly an honor. As a young man that I am, I'm about to introduce a person whose years in struggle are more than my living days. So it is really an honor. Mr. Cassel Mathale was appointed as the Deputy Minister of Police in the Republic of South Africa with immediate effect from the 30th of May 2019, having previously served as the Deputy Minister of Small Business from February 2018. Mr. Mathale cut his teeth in politics in the early 70s as a young activist alongside the late Comrade Peter Mukaba and many others. He rose through the African National Congress ranks as a youth leader and became a member of the National Executive Committee of the African National Congress Youth League. He is a former president of the South African Youth Congress and has held various positions in the ANC and the United Democratic Front. He is affectionately known as Comrade Chair. He was appointed or elected as the Provincial Secretary for the ANC in Limpopo and a member of the ANC National Executive Committee from 1996 to 1998. He subsequently became the Provincial Chair of the African National Congress in Limpopo. He served as the Premier of the Limpopo province since May 2009 until July 2013. He became a member of the National Assembly since 2014 and has served on the portfolio committees of Human Settlements, Science and Technology until his appointment as the Deputy Minister for Small Business Development. He is a graduate of a university known for its struggle against apartheid and its continued fight against oppression and discrimination of the previously disadvantaged, which is the University of the Western Cape. So, ladies and gentlemen, allow me and we rise in welcoming the Deputy Minister of Police, His Excellency, Deputy Minister Mathale.
Thank you. Please take a seat. Thank you very much, Program Director and Shadow MEC, Comrade Kama, a member of the Provincial Legislature. When you were saying the things you were saying there, I said I wish I can have what you were talking about there so that I can keep it for myself. It was like you are talking about somebody else. But I'm humbled by what you said. My colleague, Comrade Skwacha, Deputy Minister, former Secretary of SAICO, Western Cape, member of the Central Executive Committee of SAICO, South African Youth Congress, former Provincial Secretary, Chairperson, MEC of the Western Cape Province, a member of the National Executive Committee, a member of the National Assembly, Deputy Minister of Agriculture, Rural Development and Land Reform, Honorable Mcebisi Skwacha. The Speaker of the local municipality, Mr. Pretorius, Councillor Pretorius, the chairperson of the CPF, Mr. Minar, our ward councillor present here, the head of the Hawks, Dr. Advocate Lebeya, the acting divisional Commissioner General Pinar, the acting provincial commissioner General Patekile,
and all the generals present here, both from head office and from the province, the cluster commander, the station commander, Mr. Ntuli representing the civilian secretariat, our partners in combating crime, the residents of Uniondale, members of the media, good afternoon. Comrade Squatcher said it's long that we have been knowing each other, and I tried to demonstrate how long we know each other by introducing him with the titles that he held in the youth movement when we were growing up. As a member of the Guguletu Youth Congress, that became part of the Western Cape Youth Congress, that later became Western Cape, Psycho Western Cape. And we served together. Of course, even when he was having a wedding, I was a guest at his wedding. Yeah, we come a long way, and indeed our journeys are intertwined, Comrade Squatcher. And for as long as we live, they will be intertwined. What we are doing here is what we were taught when we were growing up in the liberation movement, that we must serve our people to the best of our ability. Coming to Uniondale in 2019 was part of that service. There is nothing extraordinary about me except that we are carrying through what we were taught by our forebearers, Oliver Tambo and those who left before us. They taught us to serve our people. They taught us to interact our people with sincerity and humility. As we interacted with you and we said to you, we will come back, we meant it, that we will come back. And we are here today to give a report back. You should have taken the platform, Comrade Squatcher, as I urged you to do, because ours is to do a report back. You are introducing what you are doing, so you need the time to do so. We have already taken much of the time ourselves by the report that we read to you through General Reddy in terms of what we did. And when he finished, I said to myself, Kilakaleu. I come from the north. The language we speak there, when you say Kilakaleu, is when somebody have said the things that you were going to say. So you just stand there and say Kilakaleu so that you don't repeat yourselves in terms of what you are going to say, because it was already said. He represented us very eloquently. But what I liked the most was the response by Colonel Standard. You impressed me very much, Colonel, when you stood here and responded, and when you finished, the community clapped hands for you. You know, in September when we were here, they said he must pack his bags and go because he was not working well with the community. The community felt that, no, this station commander, no, is the station commander of farm owners, not for all of us. He must pack his bags and go. And we said, that will not be the response that we are going to give you as the leadership of the South African police. Colonel Stander must correct his ways. He must serve the community because he's here to serve. General Libya said we are the South African Police Service. Service is to serve, nothing else. And we gave him timelines that if he doesn't do the following and improve his way of doing things here, we will redeploy him to another station away from here. And I learned earlier on that administratively he is doing a good job. They say he's a good administrator. People from Uniondale, they didn't say it here. If you remember, we came in a convoy and I got lost. So when I got lost, I was lost into a place where I was told that he's a good administrator. It was not said here. But they still expect more from your colonel. You have not done enough. You have just scratched the surface. So from here, you said you are going to follow up on the questions that were raised today here. Go and do that. But not only that, engage with this community. These are your extra boots on the ground. Without the community, you will never succeed in your responsibility as the station commander of Uniondale. You won't succeed. But you will succeed working together with these people from here. So interact with them, meet with the leadership, get their opinion. You know, our people are more wiser than those of us who are given mics to speak last. It's just because of my title that I'm standing here speaking. But in terms of wisdom, wisdom lies with you. You know better than ourselves, and you have better suggestions and solutions to the problems facing our country. So as a station commander, go to them, listen to them, hear what they are saying, what suggestions do they have on how effectively we can fight crime. They just said, yeah, the Dominique Cassel, there was a rapist here who raped people, and they arrested that person, brought that person to you. These are not police officers, they are ordinary community members, but they know who is doing what here. They said the other time when we came here that people steal goats here and cattle, and they go and sell the meat. They know who is doing this thing. They can go and show you, you see that one there at that house, they sell stolen meat there. They know it because they know that that person there does not have a sheep or a goat or a cattle, a cow to kill. So if he's selling meat or she's selling meat, where does it come from? Possibilities of it being stolen meat are very high. So they will give you that information. And if you work with them, you will have less headaches. When we come here, we will hear like what we had today. Positive comments about yourselves. And that is therapy. If community talks good about you, it's therapeutic. It heals you. But once they talk bad about you, even yourself, you are not free in that meeting. But today, because it was positive, you were able to come here and address them and even go to the next page and address because the environment was very nice. And I think you need that type of an environment. Because once the environment is conducive, you can even come with your children to your workplace. But if the environment is hostile, you can't bring your kids there because you don't know what's going to happen. So you stole the show for me, and I respect you for that. And I'm very happy and convinced that you are going to do more than what you have done here. And when we come back, we want to see the community here talking about you, singing about your name, that you are the best. You no longer have different eyes that see farmers and farm dwellers differently. You have the same eye. If a farm owner commits crime, you deal with that farm owner who commits crime like you will deal with the farm worker who commits crime. Once you do that, we are halfway in our struggle to creating a better life in our country. We are basically here to say we have heard you, and we know that what we are saying here does not mean it is the end of the problems that you have. And you have already demonstrated to us this afternoon. After we've given you a feedback and we said 5 people must raise their hands, more than 5 people came to speak here. And they are raising different things from what was raised the last time we were here. So our being here is not a solution to your problems. And I think the referent there said it quite appropriately when he said he's happy that Deputy Minister Skwatsha is here. It was not a mistake, Comrade Skwatsha, to invite you here. We invited you here so that you can help us fight crime. Because the source of crime is hunger. If people have enough to eat, why must they steal? If people can work, look after their children, put bread on the table, why must they steal? They can't. But deny them livelihood. When they wake up in the morning, they wake up hungry, they want to eat. If they can't find the food to eat, they are going to devise other means to eat. And those means, in most cases, they will become illegal because they don't have the means to acquire food. Once they ate their breakfast, it doesn't mean they will not want to eat at lunchtime. And it doesn't mean they will not want to eat in the evening. So the need to satisfy the basic human need will always be there. That's why Kaspedi ba re go ja kudu a se go fenya tlala. Meaning, if you eat more than what is necessary, it doesn't mean you will not be hungry again. You can eat and overeat in the morning. It doesn't mean you won't want food in the evening. Because that food that has filled your tummy is temporal. You will want to eat in the evening. You will want to eat the following day. You will want to eat next week. You will want to eat next year. You don't eat today and you are full forever. It doesn't happen that way. So we must make it possible for our people to satisfy this human need. And there is no any other way of doing it except through the land. That's why agriculture is here. And I'm happy you have already committed that in a very short space of time, you want to be here. Time permitting, we will join you, Deputy Minister. If I'm not able to physically come, the generals will be here from the province to be part of what you are doing, because any economic activity that must take place, safety of that activity is paramount. So we will always be relevant as the South African police. For any activity to be successful, we must always be around.
But of course, without interfacing with other departments, we will not defeat crime on our own, because crime is a product of a broader environment we find ourselves in. Resolve that problem, you will have resolved the challenges that create criminality in any society. So you were invited to come and help lessen our load, because when a carrot and a cabbage is on the table, our load gets lessened, General Mangi, because we are about right. But when there is hunger, there is poverty, you will have difficulties. I want to express my appreciation, General Lebe and General Pinar, and I want you to pass this to the National Commissioner. We appreciate the responsiveness that the South African police demonstrated towards the issues raised by this community. It must not only for this community, it must be how we work as the South African Police Service. It's true, there is a lot of negativity about us. They think we can't think, we are inhuman, and all sorts of things. We have a responsibility to change this perception. The South African police, when people look at us, they must see hope. They must see people who are there to serve them. They must see people that they must run to for anything that they are faced with, be it criminality or issues of how they can survive. They must come to you and ask, what can we do? Where can we go for us to get assistance on agricultural related matters, on starting small businesses? And they must have confidence that a member in blue will be able to give them the information for them to get their service. We know you are faced with difficult circumstances because of the nature of your work, but that must not define who you are. It can be done, and working together with our communities, we will indeed achieve an environment where our people are safe, and they feel safe, and they are indeed safe. And indeed, we can all proudly say there is a better life for all in South Africa, as Nelson Mandela said in 1994, that a better life for all. It is possible working together as a collective. Thank you very much for your response. Thank you very much for your reception, Uniondale and George and the Western Cape in general, your province, Comrade Squatcher. We appreciate your hospitality. Thank you very much and have a good afternoon.
Thank you so much for your patience. Minister, when the principals have spoken, there's a saying then, nobody speaks thereafter. But for the purpose of this meeting, allow me to call on our acting provincial commissioner just to do a vote of thanks, acknowledgement. General Patikile.
Thank you, Program Director, Captain Boye. Our Deputy Minister of Police, Mr. Cassel Mathale, the Deputy Minister of Rural Development, Land Reform and Development, Mr. Squatcher, the Shadow MEC for Community Safety, Mr. Mesuli Kama, the Speaker of the municipality, Mr. Pretorius, other public representatives present here today, the national head of the DPCI, Lieutenant General Dr. Advocate Libya, the Acting Divisional Commissioner, Major General Pinar, the Acting Divisional Commissioner for Detection, Major General Mutsepe, the Deputy Provincial Commissioner here present with us, Major General Mani, amongst ourselves, Major General Matonsi, the Cluster Commander of Eden Cluster, Major General Reddy, the Cluster Commander of the Gamascope, Brigadier Tsekyana, I hope you not Tsekyana, it's Tsekyana, the CPF Chairperson, Mr. Miner, present here today, the religious communities, the head of Civilian Secretariat, Mr. Nduli, present here, and all other dignitaries, good afternoon. Our service to the community has to be open and transparent, and also be challenged to account to the community from time to time. It is then important that today we are so humbled to have you, Deputy Minister, for the police to giving feedback to the community. And policing in a democratic country based on human rights and dignity with transparency requires that from time to time we are monitored. We ensure that our core mandate and our core business, which is crime combating and prevention and investigation, and also ensuring that the human dignity, the right to life, and all other rights that are entrenched in the Bill of Rights are protected. We are humbled and thank you for being here, sir. We are so grateful that the Deputy Minister for Rural Development will be bringing carrots, pumpkins, milk, and everything to this community. We thank you in advance that our crime will be eradicated in Uniondale and other parts of the country. Thank you very much, sir. All other speakers that were here, who eloquently talked to us, we are humbled. We thank you, Shadow Minister of the, I hope that we will meet once again in the Western Cape, because it is warm and is becoming hot. So we really need each one of us to jointly prevent the crimes and ensure that the future of our grandchildren and our children and the great-grandchildren becomes brighter. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate the involvement of the local government, and hopefully that some of the things that we always cry to say, please help there. As for now, let me thank you in advance that you will be assisting us with the Harlem to provide the issues that we can't ourselves, like water, running water, and toilets, and also our members cannot go away to relieve themselves in that area. Thank you very much in advance for the participation. To Advocate Dr. Lieutenant General Bia, It's nice, ne? These are very, I want to be one day, all this, General. Thank you very much for your presence. We know that you have sacrificed a lot for today, but we appreciate your dedication, your commitment to the cause of the country, and thank you for your guidance and wisdom that you've shared with us today. Today is a Saturday. Most of us, we are, I heard that the Deputy Minister's Kwacha is in Jordana. It's a day that we go but those that are here, all of us, you know that you left many of your important engagement to be part of that for the cause, and also ensuring that Uniondale is also a place to be and a place that one day will not go down as a place that is said to be forgotten, so that our children and great-grandchildren will enjoy the life that they deserve. I would like to thank those individuals who participated in engagement, also reminding us of our service. We owe that service to you. We are your servants. Help us to help you. When these questions are asked and are raised, it's helping us to shape. We're striving for excellence. We want to ensure that we reach that part one day, as our code of conduct demands, that we act professionally at all times, but we'll work with you. We'll help you to help us to shape the future of our country. I would like to also acknowledge several service providers who assisted us, the church, who provided us this with accommodation, and the organizers of the events, and all that have taken part in these events. We can only grow better from here jointly. Would like also to swear a special words of gratitude to the personnel of the Deputy Minister for the hard work they have been in getting this day a success, as it is a success to all of us today. In conclusion, if any person I've left behind, it was not intentionally, but would like you to say thank you to everybody, drive safely home, enjoy your weekend, sanitize, maintain your social distance. Let us also remind all the other committee members out there to wear masks every day, so that we don't find ourselves to the third wave again. We have lost enough. Let us prevent everybody from again getting infested with this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, General, for the acknowledgement. It's my pleasure now and privilege to say a word of gratitude for the role you've also played, General Patekile, in acknowledging those that made this day a success. Thanks for your contribution and leadership as well. Ladies and gentlemen, just a last, not a comment, but just an announcement. I just want to encourage the members of the public, of the community especially. We've got information stalls in the front and at the back, or at the corner of the entrance of the church premises. Please, gaan kyk asseblief. U het verskeie opsies. Daar's verskeie departemente wat uitstal en ook pamflette en inligtingstukke het wat u kan help om Uniondale 'n beter plek te maak, en u sal verduidelik hoe toegang tot daardie dienste kan kry, access to the services. So please visit those stalls, and thanks so much for your participation. The people of 93.8 frequency, thanks for tuning in. And thanks for assisting and be part of this meeting. I'm going to ask now that we stand and acknowledge the DM as he and his entourage leave the hall. And I'm going to ask that the community remain seated thereafter. Thank you, Colonel Kleinboy. And we also want to thank Susan Munro, our sign language interpreter. We want to say a big word of thanks to her as well for assisting us, and she